Hello and welcome back to another video on my modified Fiat Panda 4x4. In this video I have my latest modification here, which has just arrived all the way from Italy. And this modification should transform the Panda off-road and on-road. So I'm going to get it out the box, show you what it is, explain how it works, and then me and my mechanic Jamie, we're going to fit it up to the car and then test it. Right, so what have I ordered? This is from a company called Prometeo Meccanica, and basically this is a mechanical coupler which will replace the viscous coupling that's mounted on my rear differential. So instead of having the normal viscous coupling, which essentially it senses slip from the front wheels, it then heats up some fluid in the viscous coupling, which then causes two clutch plates to touch together, and then that sends power going to the rear wheels. But the problem is it can create some minor delays when you're off-road. You have to wait for your front wheels to spin before the rear wheels fully kick in, which to be honest hasn't caused me too many issues off-road, but I think this setup is going to be much better. So I'll get it out of the box now and then I'll run through all the parts. So this is everything that comes in the kit, and once this is mounted up, I'll be able to fully control when the car is in two-wheel drive and when it's in four-wheel drive. You'll mount this lever inside the car in your rear cup holder, and then when you move the lever forward or backwards, that will change the car being from four-wheel drive into two-wheel drive. You'll run these cables underneath the car into this wheel, and then as you move this lever, it will move this metal selector at the top here. So when you turn it, that will change when you're in two-wheel drive and when you're in four-wheel drive. With the kit, you also get an additional mounting bracket for the coupling unit itself, and then you also get a little light that you can mount on your dashboard so you know when you're in two-wheel drive and when you're in four-wheel drive. You can see that straight away the quality of this kit is pretty impressive actually. It surprised me on how good the quality is, considering it wasn't astronomically expensive. It was quite a lot of money. It was around 500 euros. But when you think about the R&D and the effort that has gone into making this work with the Panda, it's pretty impressive really. The actual coupler unit itself, the casing is made out of cast aluminium. The bearings in there are all branded. They're SKF bearings, and everything looks to be really high quality. It does all seem to work. I have moved the lever and you can feel the output and input shaft kind of biting up with each other. So yeah, really looking forward to getting this mounted on the car. It's going to be a great modification to do. The benefits of fitting this, like I said before, I can control when it's in two-wheel drive and when it's in four-wheel drive. So that means on a long journey I could put the car in two-wheel drive, and not only will that reduce some wear on the rear differential, because I won't be sending any power to the rear differential, but also it should save on some fuel. I won't be sending power to the rear wheels, which means it should save a little bit on fuel and give me some more miles per gallon. And obviously when I'm off-road, you can change it into four-wheel drive, I think up to about 20 kilometers an hour, but you're probably going to do it when you're stationary anyway. But when you move the lever into four-wheel drive, you are locked into four-wheel drive and there's no delay, and that is a direct 50-50 power split from the front to the rear wheels. So yeah, it's going to be a real improvement to what I've got now. The kit comes with a really heavily detailed instruction manual on how to fit it up, and the instruction manual is in English as well, but they label everything, they explain everything, how it works, what it does, where to run the cables and what have you. So not quite sure how long it's going to take to fit, but we will find out. So yeah, that's the next job. We're going to get the car on the ramp. I'll show you where the viscous coupling is on the original setup, and then we will start removing things and get this mounted up. This is the unit we're changing. This is the original viscous coupling. So we've got to remove my rear diff guard, which we may need to modify once the new coupling's on. So undo the prop, remove this, remove the rear diff guard, and then plan to mount the new unit. So the first step, according to the instructions, is to remove this center console. So that's what we're going to do. So this is the center console removed. Kind of looks a bit rude. So the rear cup holder is where the lever is going to sit. So we need to cut some of that away to allow the lever to go through. So I'll do that now. Right, so using a Dremel, I'm going to cut down probably just less than halfway down in the rear cup holder. And then hopefully that should be enough for the unit to fit through. And that is one rear cup holder removed. Just need to deburr all of this melted plastic, and then it'll be ready. Prop shaft is now off. We need to undo this nut and then try and slide this unit off. And here is my original viscous coupling. So annoyingly, that bearing was meant to come off with the viscous coupling, which it hasn't. So I'm going to try and get a bearing puller on that. Remove the rear diff guard and then plan to mount the new coupler. So it was quite a good thing we're doing this, because this bearing, which sits inside the coupler, is absolutely knackered. You can see the amount of water that's got in there, all the rust coming out of it. So, well worth changing. And that is the new unit on. So this is the additional mounting bracket, which will go onto where the rear diff mounts. We've undone them 2 bolts. That will go onto there, and then that will go into that hole. So on the bracket, it's now on. We just nipped this one up, and as you can see, that hole is slightly slotted, so that will support the unit. And then when we torque it up, that will slightly pull in a bit more, and then once it's seated in properly, we can torque that one up as well. Right, we're going to let the car down. I'm going to get in, put the handbrake up and my foot on the brakes, so then Jamie can torque that centre nut to between, I think it says 125 to 150, but we're going to go on the higher end of that. So yeah, I'm going to hop in the car now.
Lovely. Click. Okay.
So the wires for the light that comes up on the dashboard when you're in four-wheel drive have had the terminals crimped on them and plugged in. We've slightly modified the cap that goes over. So I'm going to slide that on and then run the cables and the wires through into the car. We're going to cover the wires in some heat shrink to try and protect them from the elements, and then make the hole in between the handbrake cables. Right, holes are masked up. I'm just going to spray some anti-corrosion underseal on there, and then fit the rubber grommet, and then feed the wires and the cables through. Wires and cables have been run through the hole drilled. There's a grommet in there. All fits nicely. We're probably going to wrap these up with some felt tape as well, just so they're neatly all bunched together. The rear diff guard is going to be slightly modified to suit the new coupling. So we're just going to trim these two sections off here and then mount it back up. So before the lever mechanism goes in, I'm going to just clean this area up and spray some Dinatrol in there to stop any possible corrosion happening in the future. Nice. Tightening up the bolt to secure the lever down. So that's now bolted down. Feels really solid. I must say I'm really impressed with the quality of this kit. Everything has just fitted exactly where it should do. Yeah, so that's now on. I think we've got to cut these to length potentially, feed them through, and then on to the next step. We need to put in these little copper spacers in the areas that pinch the cables. Right, so the cables are all mounted up to the lever, they're adjusted. So now in two-wheel drive, you can imagine the prop shaft spinning. That's spinning around, but the wheels do not move. And then when you lock it into four-wheel drive, like that, it will then bind up, and then the rear wheels start to spin. So that works brilliantly. So wires for the four-wheel drive light are going to run through here. I'm just going to leave them dangling down over there for now. We probably won't have time tonight to wire in the light, which I'll probably put either there or here. That'll be a job for another time. Let's just focus getting the center console back in, getting the prop shaft back on, and trying it out. First try the lever with the center console in. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's good. Just smear some seam sealer into the hole where the cables and the wires run through into the cabin. That should stop any water getting in. We've cable tied them all together. We've put some anti-chafing coating there. Put some seam sealer in where the wires come out. And that should be lovely and secure. Time to put the prop shaft back on. Oh yeah,
Nice.
that is a nice fit. And we've got clearance from the prop. That's good. Right, time to tighten the prop bolts up. So that's all hooked up. So now when I spin the prop, you'll see that the front wheels are spinning and the rears are staying still because we're in two-wheel drive mode. Great. Right, final bit is to... What did you do?
My hair's stuck in it.
Oh. Right, final bit, modify the diff guard back on and then we're all done. Lovely. Yeah,
Yeah.
that fits. So that is everything back on. Diff guard back on. The new mechanical coupling unit is mounted and on. Cables and wiring all routed into the car. Seam sealed all around the hole. All the cables are adjusted. The light, which will indicate when it's in four-wheel drive, will be done another time. But yeah, so all back together. Time to get it on the floor. And then tomorrow, when it's daylight, because it's now getting a bit dark outside, we'll try it out. So it is now the next day. The coupling unit is now mounted and on. The only thing we haven't done is wired in the indication light. So when you're in four-wheel drive, we'll be putting a little light on the dashboard which will tell you when you're in four-wheel drive, and then when you're not in four-wheel drive, the light will go off. But that's a job for another day. The main thing is the coupling unit is mounted and it works. And I'm going to demonstrate to you now what it does. So with the lever forward, that means I'm in two-wheel drive, which means there's no drive going to the rear wheels at all. It's just going to the front wheels, and that's demonstrated in this next video. And then when you move the lever backwards, like that, that means you're now in four-wheel drive, and that is a direct drive to the rear wheels. It is an even 50-50 distribution front to rear. Here's another video to demonstrate that. So having this system fitted is almost like having a central locking diff. So when you're engaged in four-wheel drive, it is a direct mechanical link from the front differential to the rear differential, which means when you're turning a corner, you'll hear some scuffing on the tires. The difference is with the viscous coupling, even when it was engaged, there is still a slight bit of slippage to stop that scuffing happening. Essentially, the system is very similar to what the original Fiat Panda 4x4 was, because that also had a selectable two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that was a mechanical system as well. Some Pandas, like the Panda Cross, had a button called ELD, which stands for electric locking diff. And basically what that did was, when you press the button, an electric solenoid would close together the clutch plates in the viscous coupling, which then reduces the lag for the power to go to the rear wheels, but then it would use braking and traction control to replicate a rear locking differential. That system will still have some kind of slip, and it wouldn't be as good as what this system is. So what are the pros and cons? Well, the cons are the system's a little bit more complicated than the original viscous coupling, because essentially that's just in there all the time and you don't have to worry about anything. It'll automatically kick into four-wheel drive when it feels like you need it. The upsides are, when I'm driving on the road normally, I don't have to have any power going to the rear wheels, because even with the viscous coupling there is still a small amount of power going to the rear wheels, but that means then not only will I not be sending power to the rear wheels when I don't need it, that means there was less wear on the rear differential, less wear on the rear tires. I should improve my fuel efficiency as well, so that would be quite good, and you just get that bit more flexibility. In terms of the quality of the kit that I fitted, I am absolutely blown away by the quality of this kit. Not only did it fit perfectly, there was no modifications that needed to be done to the kit to make it fit to the car. The quality of the kit is very good. All of the aluminium castings, all of the aluminium billet cutouts, they're all brilliantly made. The bearings inside the unit were branded SKF as well. It's well worth considering if you're taking your Panda off-road and doing some pretty extreme stuff. Don't get me wrong, the viscous coupling was okay, and to be honest, it didn't really ever let me down, but there were some occasions where I felt like the system didn't kick in quick enough and I was doing most of the work with the front wheels, whereas now I can choose straight away to be in four-wheel drive. Contact the company Prometeo, who make and supply the kit. They were really helpful, really easy to deal with. I contacted them on Instagram, but I'm sure on their website they have contact information as well, so please do check them out. But yeah, I hope this was helpful, and if you're thinking about buying the kit, you should just go ahead and do it. I think it's really, really worthwhile. But thank you very much for watching. Please like the video, comment your thoughts down below, and subscribe if you enjoy seeing Pedro the Panda doing some off-roading. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.